Hello again, everyone. Edwin Lerner back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about Uranus sextile or trine Chiron in the natal chart. Now, some of you may remember when I first started my YouTube astrology channel, I did a series on the aspects in the natal chart. They're a little bit concise. Some people may have referred to them as snappy, so what I decided to do was make another series on them in which the videos would be a little bit longer and more descriptive. So anyway, first thing up is if you have Uranus sextile or trine Chiron in your natal chart, you may easily find inspiration, which is Uranus, for helping and healing others, which is Chiron. Now, if you have Chiron and Scorpio as an example, you may help and heal others. It could be psychological issues or something associated with transformation or empowering others, matters with support, whether it be emotional, moral, or monetary support. It could be matters with insurance or loans, as some examples. And another way these aspects may manifest is that friends and people that you know in groups, clubs, and organizations, which is Uranus, may be beneficial in matters associated with emotional and physical related suffering, which is Chiron. Now, let's say if Chiron is in Sagittarius as an example, there may be certain suffering that may be tied in with issues with religion or publishing or advertising. It could be regarding one's philosophies and beliefs. If you have on a physical level, it may be something connected with the liver or the thighs or the hips, the sciatic nerve, as some examples. And also, too, these aspects can be positive for readily and easily balancing activities with friends, which is Uranus, and healers, which is Chiron. Now, if you have, let's say, if Uranus is in Capricorn as an example, one or more friends may actually be a Capricorn sun, moon, or ascendant person, or simply embody the characteristics of the sign. It could be those that are very disciplined, structured, serious, consistent, responsible, ambitious, career-oriented, but at the same time may be cold, callous, and even undemonstrative as well. And also, too, emotional and physical suffering, which is Chiron, may be aided strongly by society and group-related people, which is Uranus, and even your friends, which is Uranus. So those people can be beneficial in those matters. Now, if you have Chiron in Gemini, as an example, there may be emotional, suffering that are tied in with one's cerebral or intellectual ability. It may be, the ability to articulate or, disseminate and assimilate information, diversify and expressing versatility, or even, like, say, manual dexterity, such as auto or refrigeration mechanics, as an example. And in society and group-related people can be beneficial in those matters, which is Uranus, and even, friendships and those that are, again, prominent in groups, clubs, and organizations, which is Uranus as well. Now, another thing, too, is that Uranus-related people may be advantageous in those matters as well. When I say Uranus-related people, that covers a wide divergence of persons, whether it could be people, humanitarians, and people that are, in altruistic endeavors, astrologers, people involved with computers, electronics, innovation, aviation, meteorology, or even rocket science, as some examples. Now, also, too, issues with depleted self-esteem, which is Chiron, may be benefited by the expression of ingenuity and through one's friendships. And I understand that could be true regardless of astrological aspects and placements, but it may be more emphasized and more favorable for these aspects as opposed to many others. Now, let's say if Uranus is in Sagittarius, as an example, there may be ingenuity that's expressed in sports, like say those robot umpires or the electronic base pass that some idea somebody came up with. If Chiron is in Taurus, as an example, depleted, self-esteem and self-worth, may be tied in with one's, monetary situation or matters with possessions or resources. It may be an ability to be, maybe there's some issues with being self-reliant or generating, one's income, or matters with persistence, patience, and perseverance, as some examples. And also, too, matters that are pertaining to goals, aspirations, objectives, and friends, which is Uranus, may be auspicious in dealing with the deepest wound, which is Chiron. Now, let's say if Chiron is in Aries, as an example, that deepest wound may be tied in. It could be with one sense of identity or place in the world. It may be, a situation that was combative, or there was, it might be a situation whether it was a physical or verbal battle that's tied in with one's deepest wound. Maybe there were some issues in expressing aggression or assertiveness that's tied in with that deepest wound that one may have to endure, at matters with action or taking initiative in situations. Now, there's another thing about these aspects is that healers, which is Chiron, may be advantageous in the attainment of objectives, which is Uranus. Now, if Uranus, say, is in Aquarius, as an example, those objectives may be tied in again, could be like altruistic humanitarian endeavors, or doing something with astrology, astronomy, computers, electronics, meteorology, innovation. It could be something associated with the internet or social media, as some examples. And also, too, these aspects can be auspicious for having little difficulty in finding that inspiration, which is Uranus, in dealing, again, with that deepest wound, which is Chiron. Now, if Chiron is in the zodiac sign Cancer, as an example, that deepest wound may be tied in with home, family-related matters, matters pertaining to safety, security. It may have to do with the expression of unconditional love, issues with dedication, devotion, as some examples. And also, too, I'd say these aspects can be favorable for teaching and mentoring, which is Chiron, and others in Uranus-related fields, again, whether it could be something with computers or electronics or aviation or astronomy, even rocket science, astrology, as aviation as some examples. And if you have, Chiron in Sagittarius as an example, that teaching may, be done with more, expansiveness, exuberance, enthusiasm, optimism. There may be more, of a philosophical side, connected with it. If Chiron is in Capricorn, as another example, the teaching and mentoring may be flavored, with more discipline, structure, consistency, concentration, ambition, and seriousness. Now, also, too, to keep in mind, if you have Chiron retrograde in your natal chart, the suffering that one may endure may be more internalized and suppressed, and there may be more of an emphasis on self-healing in contrast to Chiron being direct in one's natal chart. Now, if Chiron, say, is in Leo as an example, there may be certain suffering one endures. It may be connected with one's pride or ego, matters with getting attention or being lauded and praised for one's efforts, or, not getting that attention that one feels he or she is worthy of. But those issues, may be more suppressed and internalized as opposed to Chiron being direct. If Chiron is in Virgo is another example. There may be issues that are more internalized and suppressed, connected with one's work or employment or ability to be helpful to others, or matters with organization. It could be hygiene, cleanliness, nutrition, ability to compartmentalize things. Maybe there were some issues, as far as, criticism goes, or being judgmental, or analysis, as some examples that were more, that were suppressed more, as opposed to being more outward, with those matters. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, Edwin Leonard saying, stay well.